after a huge 10-2 series opening win against the New York Mets Friday night to kick off a 3-game series with huge NL East implications. The Phillies unfortunately dropped Saturday night's ball game 11-4 against the Mets. The series is tied 1-1 heading into Sunday night on Sunday Night Baseball to wrap up this 3-game series. It's for first place in the National League East, so it is going to be a big game here tonight. Welcome into Phillies Daily, everybody. I'm your host, Mike Kennelly. Make sure you guys subscribe, as always, for more Phillies content. Mick Abel, he was on the mound for last night's ball game against the Mets in that 11-4 loss, and just wasn't his best performance by the young pitcher. He allowed 4 runs in just 3 innings pitched, and those 4 runs all came off of solo home runs hit by the Mets. He also allowed 6 hits in those 3 innings before he was pulled from the ball game. Ironically, coincidentally, maybe even a little bit alarmingly, Mick Abel's 2 worst starts of his young major league career has come against good teams, good offense. If you remember, he went just 4 innings. He allowed 6 hits, allowed 3 walks, had allowed 3 earned runs back on June 10th against the Chicago Cubs, a very good team, a very good offense. And now, obviously, against a good Mets team, a good Mets offense, he will allow those 6 hits, those 4 solo home runs in just 3 innings last night on Saturday. As I said, it could be a little bit of alarming just knowing that he pitches well against the worst teams and not necessarily has his great stuff against the better teams. Something just to look forward and just take a deeper look into as we move forward with Mick Abel in the starting rotation. Obviously, he's going to have more opportunities as we move forward with Aaron Nola, just most likely not going to be back until August with this rib injury now. We'll see what happens. Hopefully, Mick Abel can put this behind him and move forward and get back on track to what we've seen out of the young pitcher. Now, speaking of those 4 solo home runs that Mick Abel allowed in last night's loss to the Mets, the Phillies pitching staff as a whole allowed 7 home runs to the Mets in that ball game. The long ball was just a huge advantage for the Mets. They were just killing it off the Phillies. It was pretty annoying to watch, honestly. But even more, I guess impressively, you can even say, is the Mets hit 7 home runs, but all 7 of those home runs were solo home runs. Very weird kind of thing to happen, but that's how it went. It could have helped the Phillies, obviously. I mean, you don't want to allow 7 home runs in a ballgame, but they were all solo home runs. It could have been a lot worse. The score could have been way bigger than it was with those just 11 runs. If there were runners on base for a few of those solo home runs, it wasn't. So it was just 7 runs right there off of those 7 home runs. Phillies couldn't get anything going really and couldn't take advantage, I guess you can say, of just those solo shots to claw their way back into the ball game. Didn't work out for them. Abel obviously allowed those 4 in his 3 innings. Joe Ross, he pitched 2 2/3 innings last night in relief for Mick Abel. He allowed a home run. Michael Mercado, he allowed a home run. And Taijuan Walker let up a home run as well. So there's the 7 home runs let up by the Phillies pitching staff. Now going back to Mick Abel only going 3 innings in that ball game against the Mets last night. Unfortunately for the Phillies, that meant that the bullpen had to put in some extra work. They were forced to come in there early, starting in the 4th inning, and had to pitch the rest of the game. You don't like to use your bullpen that much, obviously, because then a lot of the guys are unavailable for the next game, and it just really hurts the team, really hurts the bullpen. You need your starters to go really at least 5, ideally 6 innings day in and day out. So going just 3 innings is just not what you want out of your starting pitching. So just really not a good performance by Mick Abel last night. Pulled after those 3 innings, bullpen forced to work extra. Joe Ross, as I said, he pitched 2 2/3 innings in relief for Mick Abel. So credit to him for going through that. He's the kind of guy that he has starting pitching experience, obviously, throughout his major league career. Tanner Banks, he pitched a third of an inning. Jordan Romano, credit to him. He pitched a scoreless inning. Always good to see that out of Jordan Romano because we all know his struggles that he's had throughout this 2025 season in his Phillies season debut with the team this year, his first year with the team. Michael Mercado, he went 1 inning, and Taijuan Walker went 1 inning as well. You just can't really be doing that because now the bullpen is a little bit weaker heading into this series finale against the Mets tonight on Sunday Night Baseball down in South Philadelphia. So hopefully we can get some good starting pitching here in this series finale and wrap this up with a series win against the New York Mets and take over first place moving forward in the National League East. Now, going away from yesterday's ball game, let's move forward with what we've been doing here on Phillies Daily lately. At the end of each video, I've been talking about trade rumors, trade speculation, or just certain guys that could potentially be traded and linked to the Phillies as we near this July 31st trade deadline. If you remember in my last video, I talked about Chris Martin, veteran right-handed reliever from the Texas Rangers. Another guy that the Phillies could have interest in on the Texas Rangers is right fielder Adolis Garcia. You may remember Adolis Garcia. He's a two-time All-Star. He's got some power. Obviously, he's the right fielder for the Rangers this year. He's 32 years old, right-handed hitter. He hasn't really been known to hit for average throughout his major league career. As I said, he is a power hitter. He's had, prior to 2025, he had 4 consecutive seasons with 25 or more home runs, including 39 home runs in 2023. He was an All-Star that year. The Rangers won the World Series that year, so he was a key piece, a key contributor to that World Series championship winning team for the Rangers. The power is not really showing so far in 2025. He has just 9 home runs through his first 72 games this year. He's batting just .233 with a .281 on base percentage, a .405 slugging, and a .686 OPS with 17 doubles, those 9 home runs, and 37 RBIs so far in 2025. Just not the power numbers we're accustomed to seeing out of a guy like Adolis Garcia, although he may be turning it around as we speak. As in June, he is hitting .317 so far this month as we're wrapping up the final week or so of the month. So impressive batting average there by Adolis Garcia. He could be getting it back on track. He hit a home run the other night, but he has just 2 home runs in the month of June, so the power is still really not there for Adolis Garcia. Hopefully he can turn it around. And I say hopefully because, he's with the Rangers right now, so I really don't care if he turns it around, to be honest. Sorry, Adolis. But if the Phillies were to trade for him, hopefully he turns it around and he gets back on track to those previous power numbers we've seen out of Adolis Garcia in the past. As I said, he's a 2-time All-Star. He's a 1-time Gold Glover, so he's an above-average defender. He won the World Series in 2023 with the Rangers, and he was the American League Championship Series, the ALCS MVP that year. As I said, he was a key piece to their championship team. He hit .323 with 8 home runs and 22 RBIs in 15 games during those 2023 playoffs for the Rangers. Ended with a World Series trophy, a World Series ring for Adolis Garcia and the Texas Rangers. Now, he has played just right field other than designated hitter in 2025, and he's played mostly right field throughout his major league career with the Rangers. Although he has played all 3 outfield positions in the majors throughout his career, because obviously the Phillies have Nick Castellanos in right field. He wouldn't really necessarily be playing right field for the Phillies if they were to trade for Adolis Garcia. He would slide into center or left into that platoon situation with Max Kepler, who's a left-handed hitter. So that would work out because Adolis Garcia is a right-handed hitter. And as I said, he is an above-average defender. He has a .994 fielding percentage so far in 2025, just 1 error out there in the outfield. And he could definitely benefit from a change of scenery, in my opinion, like being traded to a team like the Phillies, pushing for a World Series, pushing for, the top spot in the National League with a great lineup around him. Adolis Garcia could come in here, have a fresh start, and hopefully get back to his previous power numbers and just go absolutely insane at a ballpark like Citizens Bank Park, which is very hitter-friendly. The Rangers may not be sellers at the deadline, however. They are 6 games back in the American League West, and they are just 1.5 games out of an AL wildcard spot as we speak, entering here today on Sunday, and they are just one game below 500, so they're hovering around being a playoff team, a 500 team. They could be sellers, they might not be. We'll see how this next month or so unfolds as we near this July 31st trade deadline, but a guy to watch could be Adolis Garcia for outfield help that the Phillies could definitely use. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Phillies Daily. I'm your host, Mike Henley. Make sure you guys like, comment, share, and subscribe for more Phillies content right here on Phillies Daily. Hopefully the Phillies can get back on track today, back in the win column, win this series against the Mets, take over first place in the National League East, and move forward from here as we wrap up this first half of the 2025 Major League Baseball season. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, go Phils.